Good afternoon. One more time, good afternoon. This is one of the most exciting lunches we have every year, so I appreciate the enthusiasm. My name is Eric Murray. I am the president of Cascadia College in Bothell. Cascadia also serves the city of Kenmore, and I'm very happy to be hosting, MCing the luncheon for the third year in a row. A couple of people reminded me that I was kind of deathly sick last year and piled through this. Today I'm healthy, so I can shake all of your hands by the time we're done. Yeah. But hey, the flu is going around, so I do encourage you on your way out to get some of that antibacterial stuff, and let's not get sick. I want to thank our musicians, Randy and Chris McMillan. Let's give them a round of applause. I checked our in-house database, and none of us can remember how long they've been doing it, but they have been playing at every luncheon for over a decade. So, thank you very much. Also want to just introduce quickly our chamber staff and have them wave. Brittany Caldwell, our executive director, Marita Colburn, our community relations manager, Elizabeth, our marketing manager, and one of the longest volunteers ever, Lynn. So, thanks, Lynn. And on this side, let's give a round of applause for our board chair, Mike Rue. Mike and I have this battle of the MCs going. He claims, he's MCing the State of the City luncheon for Bothell. I'm doing Kenmore. And he claims that I'm more smooth and he's more funny. So, I invite you all back to the Bothell luncheon, and we'll have a poll at the end of the luncheon just to see how that works out. I want to talk to you a little bit. We have some announcements before we get to our keynote speaker today, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the Kenmore Business Alliance. Although our name at the moment is the Greater Bothell Chamber of Commerce, we also have this offshoot in Kenmore presently called the Kenmore Business Alliance, and we represent Kenmore businesses as well. We have a number of Kenmore businesses in our membership. If you are a Kenmore business, would you raise your hand right now? We appreciate you being a part of the Chamber of Commerce. The KBA, Kenmore Business Alliance, meets on the first Thursday of each month at Kenmore City Hall from 8:30 to 10. If you have any questions about the group, we ask that you connect with the Chamber staff or our KBA chair, Carl Michelman, where Carl's back here. He'd be happy to talk to you about the Kenmore Business Alliance. We invite you to come and learn about all of the things that are happening in Kenmore, and City Manager Rob Carlinzi attends that regularly as well. You do not have to be a member to go to the KBA, but we do surely encourage you to think about becoming full-time members of the Chamber to take advantage of all the benefits that the Chamber has to offer. And while we today are the Greater Bothell Chamber of Commerce, by April, we have already begun our rebranding to become the Bothell Kenmore Chamber of Commerce. If you want to find out more about how that transition is progressing, we invite you to come to the annual State of the Chamber meeting at our next breakfast meeting on January 25th. We have a few people we want to thank for their support of today's event. The first is our event sponsors. We're going to hear back from them in just a little bit, but I love the names. We want to thank the Spencer 68 Apartments plus Lofts and the Link Lofts plus Flats. Say that 5 times fast. And you'll hear from the Main Street Property Group in just a minute for that. We also want to thank a sister institution of mine, Bastyr, where did Bastyr go? They have a whole table with us. Oh, this way. Welcome to all of our Bastyr folks, and thanks for sponsoring a table today. Thanks to the Inglewood Golf Club for hosting the lunch today, and we are excited to announce that other than the March State of the Bothell luncheon, which will be in Bothell, all of our luncheons in 2018 are going to be right here in this very room. We've moved locations. So we're very happy to have Inglemoor or Inglewood as a part of our chamber and supporting us with the luncheons. And we also want to thank our patron and community members for their support. You'll see all of those folks listed up here on the signs as well as in your programs. On the back of the programs are all of the upcoming chamber events. I encourage you to look at those and attend when you can. One of the nice things about the Greater Bothell Bothell Kenmore Chamber of Commerce, is while we continue to grow, and we've had one of the most successful years ever, we continue to retain that hometown feel. Networking is an important part of our chamber, getting to know your neighbors, working with your neighbors, and supporting each other. And we do that better than any chamber I've ever been a part of. So I hope that you'll attend more of our events. We are now into the Student of the Month portion, which happens at each luncheon, and I want to thank Sundance Energy Services for being the Student of the Lunch, we're having lunch, Student of the Month sponsor this month. So I'd like to invite up J.D. Davis, who will talk to you about one of our hardworking students from Inglemoor High School. He'll introduce the nominating teacher and the student recipient and present that Student of the Month award.
Thank you, Eric. Hi, everybody. A brand new year. And education is right at the forefront with Sundance Energy. And we have a scholarship fund, too, that we are involved with. So I encourage you to check out front a little bit, if you would, and find out about the scholarship fund. We have an incredible Student of the Month today. So I would like to call up her teacher, Elizabeth Kowalski. If you would come up, please.
Hey, David, are there any other council members here?
Okay, sorry. This is one of my least favorite parts about teaching is speaking in front of people, so bear with me. I always seem to have to do it, though, and I'm like, oh, Mrs. Sherwood, really? Okay. I am honored to introduce Gongliewski, who is Inglemoor's Student of the Month this month. She is a 4-year track athlete competing in hurdles and sprint. She's currently captain of the cheerleading team and is a 3-year veteran to our cheer squad. Bree maintains excellent grades in school and works many evenings and weekends doing customer service at the Juanita 76 gas station. She's very responsible and serves as a main office TA at the school each morning, where she helps administration and office staff greet visitors who come onto campus and helps organize students who have meetings with administration. Bree is one of those students that you can always count on, not only to get a project done, but done with excellence. She's very involved in ASB and leadership, and has helped plan many student events like Mr. Inglemoor, our annual male talent show, and Winter Wishes, where ASB grants wishes to students throughout the holidays. She is loyal and trustworthy to many on her track team and cheer team, and is always looking for ways to include her underclassmen teammates. She's also served as a link leader this year, which was especially important as we welcomed freshmen and sophomores onto our campus. Bree loves dogs, her family, and Red Bull Italian sodas. We're really excited to introduce Bree as our Student of the Month.
I just wanted to say thank you for this award. I'm very honored. And after high school, I plan on going to a 4-year college and studying athletic training and sports med to hopefully be either a sports med teacher at high school or athletic trainer and a track coach. Thank you.
Stay here. Let's get your teacher up here. We'll get down in front right here, and I'll bring him down there so we're down on one level for you. How's that? So you can get a picture. So this will be carried around by you for the next 14 years. Student of the Month. Show everybody that plaque. If you don't want to carry it around with you, you can place it over your bed at night, so every time you can check that out, right? And remember Sundance too, will you please? And then you can show everybody at school. There's Brianna. Congratulations. What a great student. Give her another hand, will you?
Thank you. JD, he missed his calling. The guy that's talking missed his calling.
There you go.
Thanks, JD. Bree, I am positive that JD will give you $1,000 off a heater for your dorm room. Surprised we didn't hear that out of your mouth this month, JD. I would also like to now introduce our event sponsors, Main Street Property Groups, and I'd ask George if he could come on up to the stage. We would like to thank them as today's lunch sponsors, here we go again, the Spencer 68 Apartments Plus Lofts, and the Link Lofts Plus Flats, our Main Street Property Group's properties in our area. And we have several representatives from them today, including President Kelly Price. And to tell us more, please welcome George John, who's the Development Project Coordinator.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's George John, and I'm a member of the Main Street Property Group Development Team, all sitting at that table over there. And I'm pleased to have an opportunity to speak to you today. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who's here today for supporting this annual event and taking an active role in your communities and discussing what is happening in your home city. It's important that the public interact in a very real and human level with city officials as well as companies who are having a direct impact on your community. So everybody, give yourself a round of applause for being here, so thank you. We'd also like to thank the City of Kenmore for their continued support and ongoing partnership. As the official sponsor of this event, we at Main Street are especially appreciative of everyone's attendance, and especially the City of Kenmore, so thank you. Now for an update on our Main Street's projects past, present, and future. This summer we finished our third and final phase of the Spencer 68, which consists of a total of 222 apartments and is located just northwest of City Hall. We are excited to have residents moving in from all over the local market as well as all over the country. I believe we recently had a resident move in from Atlanta, Georgia, so it was pretty exciting. Our other apartment building, located directly across 68th Street from City Hall, the Link Lofts and Flats, opened just about a year ago last February and consists of 94 residential flats and lofts, as well as 20,000 square feet commercial space, which is the new home to Evergreen Health. We're excited to say we are officially 98% leased at the Link. Evergreen Health is officially open for business, and we are looking forward to Minahan Dental opening their doors next month. Now, for any of you that have been by City Hall or that area, you're probably now well aware that we've officially broken ground on a new 8,000 square foot building this past November, which will be home to a new restaurant. It's located at the west end of the town square and will be called the Seaplane Kitchen and Bar. And it will open in fall 2018. The restaurant will include a 5,000 square foot ground level with a 700 square foot upper mezzanine seating area. And it will also have an outdoor patio area which will flow into the town square and really tie together the city hangar building. Ideally, you'll be able to sit there on a nice summer evening, watch your kids play in the town square while you have a meal with your family, and hopefully see a seaplane fly overhead looking to land on Lake Washington. So that's the vision we have. Seaplane Kitchen and Bar will be operated by well-known Seattle restaurateurs James Weeman and Deming McLeese. The restaurant will offer a menu catered around pizzas, fried chicken, unique entree salads, and a stellar burger, with the atmosphere being very family-friendly. Also, we want to mention, within the same building, directly adjacent to the restaurant, will be a 3,000 square foot commercial space, which is available for lease. And it's on the same timeline as the restaurant as well. In addition to the Kenmore restaurant and office space, we'll soon be breaking ground in late spring on a new mixed-use project located directly across from City Hall and south of the Link building. So it'll be north of the City Hangar building and south of the Link building. If any of you guys have been there, it's a big green area, kind of used as a dog park now, but hopefully we'll get it going soon. This new project will consist of 26 high-end residential units and 6 commercial spaces, and will be the final phase of Main Street's planned development for downtown Kenmore. So we're really excited about that going on. And in closing, Main Street would like to invite you all to visit our website or speak with any of the individuals in this table right here, and go for a tour of any of our properties, as we're always open for new people to come and take a visit. We'll be available after this event. And on behalf of our team at Main Street, we'd like to thank the City of Kenmore for being such a welcoming partner again, and we hope everyone is pleased with the final outcome of what will be a very vibrant and lively downtown Kenmore. Thanks again for coming, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thanks, George. Thank you, Main Street. Those seaplanes are owned and operated most likely by Kenmore Air, one of our newest members of the chamber. And are they here today? I thought I heard the clapping in the back. I encourage the other 200 of you to get onto one of the seaplanes and take a flight around. It's now time for me to introduce our main speaker. Rob and I have this loving relationship. We sit at the Hot Rocks building on our Hot Rocks, and we debate how many minutes he gets at this State of the City luncheon every year, and we haggle over the minutes. Rob, you get 40, and you know that I keep track. Can you do it?
I can.
You can. Well, I'm sure we'll be sitting on the Hot Rocks next week discussing next year's event. Rob has served in local government management for over 20 years, all of which has been in Pierce and King counties. Since earning his master's degree in public administration at Brigham Young University, Rob has served in the cities of University Place, Gig Harbor, and now Kenmore. Rob began as Kenmore's third city manager in April 2012. He was born and raised in Western Washington. He and his wife Michelle live in Kenmore and have 5 children. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Rob Carlindsey.
All right, thank you, Eric. Thank you for that introduction, and I really like this partnership we have. You've done such a great job as MC at all these events. I also want to thank Main Street Property Group for sponsoring this event and for this joint partnership that we have with them. Main Street has done such a great job for what I call the bullseye of Kenmore, or the downtown. In that bullseye, they have invested, I think it's approaching $100 million within one block of City Hall. So that's pretty impressive, and they've delivered on all their promises. They've done everything they said they would, and they've really produced a quality product. And we look forward to a continued partnership with Main Street. They've just been outstanding. I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce. This is another great partnership that the city has with the Chamber. We've been working very closely with them for quite a number of years now, and Brittany Caldwell, the executive director, is a true professional. She runs a tight ship, and I think in the several chambers I've come to know in my career, I think this is the best run chamber I've seen. So thank you, Brittany, and Mike Rue on the board, and all the board members with the chamber. It's really a joy to work with you, and it is so exciting that Kenmore is going to be inserted in the chamber name, and I think you've earned it. Yeah. I think what we said was, hey, when a certain number of Kenmore businesses join the chamber, then I think that justifies the name change. And sure enough, the number of Kenmore businesses that joined the chamber grew and grew until we said, okay, I think it's time for a name change. And the board agreed, and I think that now that Kenmore is going to be in the name, I think even more Kenmore businesses will be inspired to join the chamber. So that's truly exciting. And I think it's a lot of that goes to the credit of the Kenmore Business Alliance, which is under the chamber. People like Carl Michelman have done a great job leading that group and growing it. And the last KBA meeting that we had, and I encourage you to go, they're on first Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. at City Hall. The last meeting we had was just really well attended. It was packed, and so the KBA continues to grow, which helped justify that name and the name change in the chamber. Also, so grateful for Inglewood Golf Club for hosting us. This is a beautiful location. We're proud to have this organization here in the city, and we're grateful that they're going to be hosting all the chamber lunches from now on. So that's also really great. A couple more people to thank. My coworkers, I've got several of them here. In particular, Nancy Meehan did a tremendous amount of work. Raise your hand, Nancy. Nancy's my executive assistant. She did a tremendous amount of work helping produce this State of the City address and putting together the slideshow. So I couldn't have done it without her. And last but not least, my beautiful wife, Michelle, is right here, and I love her so much. So, I have an idea. You could listen to me for 40 minutes if you wanted, or we could shorten it and do a little 2-minute State of the City. What do you think? You want to do 2 minutes? Well, I know there's a magical way to do it. So, my son, when he was 11, he made a magical cube for me. And he's almost 21 years old now, so this is 10 years ago. But he gave it for my birthday, and I still have the original bag that he gave it in. And here's the note that goes with it. Boss's cube, with all of the answers to your daily questions. So, and he made this himself. So here it is. Here's the boss's cube. He stained it, he hand stamped the answers to life's daily questions on it. So this is an 11-year-old's view of the world. So who has a question for Kenmore? Maybe Kenmore's future, and then we can just be done with it. We can get the questions answered and be done. So anybody have a question about Kenmore's future that the boss's cube can answer? Anybody? Yes.
Will Lake Point evolve this time?
Oh, is Lake Point going to happen? Let's find out. Okay, so remember, an 11-year-old did this, okay? Why ask why? So, okay. All right. Anybody else have a question? Yes?
Will property taxes go down?
Oh, okay, let's see. Oh, I got the same answer. Let's try another one. No. So, all right. Anybody else? One more question. Come on, there's got to be one more question. Yes? Is the drive-in going to come back? You're fired. So, all right. Okay, is that enough, or do you want more? Did we cover it? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So before I get fully into the presentation, here's my coworkers. This is all 30 of them, and they are the ones who get the work done. They're the ones where the rubber meets the road and make all the wonderful things happen in the city of Kenmore. So I need to do a shout out to them. In particular, Gary Zorn's just retired. I don't know how many of you know him, but he was on the sheriff's department for 37 years, and he's been with Kenmore for the full 20 years of cityhood. And he was fundamental in our schools. He was a school resource officer for many years. So he just retired this year. And he put himself in the line of fire and did so much for kids. And our police department is quietly doing its work every day, and this is just one way of recognizing all the things that our police department does for the city of Kenmore. This is our 2017 City Council. I need to emphasize 2017. Why not 2018? Because that photo has not been taken yet. But we have Councilmember Van Ness and Councilmember Sperry, who decided not to run for re-election after more than 10 years on the City Council. And so their two spots came open. Also last fall, Councilmember Herbig came up for re-election, and he decided to run again, and he was re-elected. So our two new council members are Deborah Shrebnick and Joe Marshall, and I'm pretty sure they're not here today. Yeah, they're not here. They have day jobs like most of us do. And she was just sworn in just last night, so this is a picture from just last night. And Joe Marshall was sworn in as well just last night, as well as returning Councilmember Herbig. And here's a picture of Lori Sperry and Alan Van Ness at their last and final city council meeting. At last night's city council meeting, not only did we have 3 council members sworn in, but they also chose from among themselves who the mayor is going to be. Any guesses on who they selected last night? Mayor Baker, if you could stand up, please. Mayor, how long have you been the mayor of Kenmore now?
Starting my 11th year.
You're starting your 11th year. Thank you for your service. And Mayor Baker is very involved regionally. He just got appointed by Dow Constantine to the Sound Transit Board. So that's huge for Kenmore. And I'll talk about that a little more later. He's also been appointed to the Puget Sound Regional Council Executive Board, and he's also president of Sound Cities Association. So he's very involved regionally, nationally, and we really appreciate that. It does a lot for Kenmore, puts us on the map, gets us the attention we need for funding and for other things. Also have a couple other council members here, Councilmember Milton Curtis and Brent Smith, if you could please stand. Thank you for coming. Okay, so you may not expect to see a photo like this at the State of the City address. I don't know if you can all see this photo, but that picture was taken about 25 years ago, and yes, that's me, not the little one, but but that's me holding my first child, my daughter named Sarah. And obviously we're at Mount Rainier National Park about 25 years ago. And I remember that day, and I remember being there with her and Michelle, and I probably pointed up to the mountain and said, you know, there's some people that might actually climb that mountain. She probably didn't know what I was talking about, but I know that she did just want me to hold her the whole time. She didn't want to walk. So there's two metaphors here that I'd like to continue throughout this State of the City address. And number one, I'd like you to think of my daughter as a metaphor for the city of Kenmore. And also I'd like you to think of the mountain as a metaphor for Kenmore. Think of my daughter as a metaphor because when you raise a child, you see that child grow from infancy to being a toddler, to going into elementary school, going into junior high and becoming a teenager, and then into young adulthood. And that doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes years and years. And when your child is growing up, they're growing, but from day to day, you can't see the growth. You can't say, oh, you're taller today than you were yesterday, or even this week compared to last week. But they're growing in tiny little increments every day. And all those little increments add up over time. And pretty soon, you have a beautiful young woman on your hands, or in this case, a beautiful city on your hands. So think of Kenmore in that way, especially as we go through this presentation. Think of Kenmore as like a child growing up. Kenmore is growing increment by increment, bit by bit, and all those little bits make us a better city. And I'm going to show just a few examples of those increments as we go through this presentation. And also think about the mountain. There are people that actually have made it to the top. And when you make it to the top, it's an accomplishment. But the only way you get to the top of that mountain is by doing hard things. So to climb a mountain like Mount Rainier, you need to do hard things. So the two themes I'd like to really drive home today are incremental, bit-by-bit progress, and in Kenmore, we do hard things. So speaking of hard things, the City Council's #1 goal is pedestrian and bicycle safety. And as many of you know, they set a goal back in 2014, and they want 0 pedestrian and bicycle deaths and serious accidents as a result of a collision with a car by the year 2025. So zero ped bike accidents or serious injuries by the year 2025. Are we there yet? No, we're not. But the numbers are going down and we are making progress. And I'd like to think that it's in part because of some of the things we as a city are doing. Just in the last year or so, we've added about a mile of new sidewalk to the city. We've added 5 new rectangular rapid flashing beacons to our crosswalks. We have a total of 18. We completed the Tolt Trail, which connects our downtown to one of our neighborhoods. We've added more bike lanes, and our traffic engineer, Brett Schock, has completed 90 safety projects in our neighborhoods. Anything from new lighting to reconfiguring the striping to traffic calming devices to signage. He's really made a pretty big impact in our neighborhoods. Here's an example of the Tolt Trail completion, the before and the after. The before picture doesn't really do it justice. During rain events, the whole thing would flood over. We solved the flooding problem and we made it a nice trail for people to use. So we've received some recognition for our Target Zero efforts. We were awarded walk-friendly status by the walk-friendly communities. We were given the bronze level of recognition. I know bronze isn't platinum or gold or whatever, but it's progress. It's one increment towards becoming that walkable city that we envision. We were also given a statewide Complete Streets Award, recognizing the city for its multimodal transportation efforts. We received a $500,000 grant from the Transportation Improvement Board. It was the highest level of that award, and we were the smallest of 6 cities statewide to get that award. We're taking the money and applying it to one of our sidewalk projects. We're also designated as a bicycle-friendly community this year, which we were pretty happy about. Again, bronze level, not platinum, but it's one step. Just a few years ago, we applied for this status and they didn't give it to us at all. But after several years of progress and the things we've been doing, they get us bronze level status. So we're pretty thrilled about that. There's some future projects coming up. For the sake of time, I'd like to talk about the West Sammamish River Bridge replacement. So this is a depiction of what the new bridge is going to look like on 68th Avenue, crossing the Sammamish River. So this is on the south side looking northward. And this is actually 2 bridges. The northbound bridge is doing just fine. It was built in the 70s. It's doing great. The southbound bridge was built in the 1930s. And it's hurting. It's got to be replaced. We're not just making up this project for fun. This bridge has a low rating, and we need to replace it really soon. The current estimated price tag on it, and I say estimated because this construction climate in the Seattle city area is going crazy right now, but our best estimate with lots of built-in contingency and time escalation factors is $31 million. It will be the largest single project the city has ever completed. Of the $31 million, we have $28 million secured and funded through grants, and the city will be kicking in $3 million to complete the project. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that it comes in at $31 million or less. John Vicente is our project manager. John, if you could raise your hand. Thank you for doing such a good job so far and for getting the money. John had a huge role in applying for the $28 million we've secured for this. So here is an example of climbing that mountain and doing hard things. Do you think this project is going to be easy on us when this thing gets built? This is our only north-south connection across the river in the entire city. How are we going to replace a bridge and keep traffic going? It's going to be hard, it's going to be ugly. But remember, we do hard things. So keep that in mind as we do this project. We're going to do our best to try to keep traffic open as much as possible, but it's going to be ugly, I'm sorry. But hopefully it will be worth it. Number one, we will have replaced an old, aging bridge. And number two, we're really excited about this pedestrian promenade right here. Right now, the width for pedestrians on that side of the bridge is 5 feet. It's going to go from 5 feet to 16 feet for pedestrians and cyclists. And not only that, we're going to have a special lookout point about mid-span. And it's going to include art and some other fun features. So it'll be a really nice looking bridge. Another really important project to the City Council and to us as a community is bus rapid transit on 522. And I mentioned earlier that Mayor Baker has been appointed to the Sound Transit Board, which is huge for us, and that's going to help keep this project on track. But we're going to get faster, better, and more reliable bus service from Woodinville all the way to the future new light rail station at 145th and the freeway, I-5 and Shoreline. So that new light rail station at 145th and the freeway and Shoreline will be done about the year 2024. And the schedule for bus rapid transit is also about 2024. So hopefully the two will time nicely together. So that's an important project that all 5 cities got together and really lobbied for to make sure they got in the Sound Transit 3 package. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about economic development. This is another top priority that the City Council has. And the city has so many programs when it comes to economic development. I don't have time to talk about all of them. But one of the things, Nancy Owsley, our assistant city manager, Nancy, if you could wave. Nancy has the lead on economic development here at the city, and she's done a phenomenal job. And I really appreciate all the things she's done to help our local businesses. One thing she did is she was able to get some grant funding from the Port of Seattle to run a business acceleration series. And you've had several of those series already take place, and they're run by a Kenmore resident named Corey Hansen. Corey, if you could raise your hand. And here's a picture of one of the graduating classes from those business series. There is another business series coming up, and I think there's still room available. I've heard rave reviews about these business series classes. So if you're interested in signing up with this class to help grow your business by 5x, then see Corey or Nancy. So. Also, we have this cluster of breweries that Nancy has aptly called Brew Row. And she's working with the breweries, the local breweries, to brand that and really capitalize on what's happening there. Also, the lodge at St. Edward State Park, that old seminary building, Daniel's Real Estate has done a phenomenal job in getting a 62-year lease with Washington State Parks to renovate this historic building. So again, doing hard things. Do you think getting a 62-year lease on this was easy? No way. It was super hard. It took tons of money and time, but they got it. And they're going to save this historic building and turn it into a national park style lodge right here in Kenmore. Yeah. So you can see 82 hotel rooms, a spa, 2 restaurants and a bar, and some outdoor eating terraces. Here's some pictures. On the left is what it currently looks like. On the right is a depiction of what it will look like. Here's another existing photo. Here's a photo of the interior when it will be completed. Here's another shot of that. Here's a picture of the existing old dorm rooms from the old seminary. And they're going to combine rooms and make them larger to create something like this. So, pretty cool. Yeah. So, I've been city manager here for almost 6 years, and you know what the most common question I get is? When are we going to get more restaurants? I get that question more than anything else. Well, guess what, you guys? We're about to answer that question. So, I already told you about the lodge, how the lodge is going to be open here in a couple of years with 2 new restaurants. Just this morning, a brand new restaurant opened in Kenmore. Does anybody know the name of it? The Guest House. And guess who was their very first customer today? Mayor David Baker was their first customer. And his wife, Sherry, and I think Councilmember Smith, were you number 2 or 3? I was. Yes, so the Guest House is here. It's open for business. So we're excited about that. And you've also heard George talk about the Seaplane Kitchen and Bar, how we're excited about that. In fact, let me tell you about this. The city owned the parcel where the restaurant, the Seaplane restaurant's going to go. And Main Street Property Group wanted to buy that lot. And we'd already been working with them on what they'd done with Spencer 68, the link, and we liked what they had been doing. And they wanted to buy this parcel. And we said, Main Street, that's great. We're glad you want to buy that parcel, but you can only buy it on one condition. Does anybody know what that condition was? You have to put in a sit-down restaurant there. And so they thought about it and they said, you know what? That sounds like a good fit. And so Main Street worked really hard to find an awesome restaurant that's coming to Kenmore. So I think we've answered the question. Do you think I'll get that question much more after a year or so? I don't think so. I think we're getting some cool restaurants. So this is part of what we call, or what I call, the downtown bullseye. Our downtown plan that was adopted in 2003 calls it the strategic investment area. That includes where Main Street is building the Link and Spencer 68 and where Kenmore Camera is, and it also includes City Hall. For shorthand, I call it the bullseye. And I mentioned earlier, Main Street has invested approaching $100 million in the bullseye. The city also kept a portion of the bullseye all to itself, and that's that corner at 68th and 181st. And we decided to make a public square right there at that main corner. And with our climate, we knew that a public square would only be good, an outdoor public square would only be good a part of the year. So we decided to create an indoor space as well that would create that year-round gathering space. So we decided to go ahead and reinvest the proceeds from all the sale of the property that we had owned and sold right back into the site. And so we built the hangar in the town square, and Dr. Murray calls that the Hot Rocks building. There are hot rocks, and they're not as hot as we want them to be, but we haven't paid for them either. So we're telling the contractor he's got to make them warmer, and we're not paying him until he does. But if you can feel patches of hot on them. And anyway, so we're just really proud of this building. Somebody asked me the other day, is the hangar exceeding your expectations? And I said, no. They said, what? I said, yeah, it's meeting my expectations. And it's exactly right. That building is doing exactly what we had intended it to do. Do you think building this building was easy? No. It cost money. It was a nightmare to construct. John Vicente was our project manager. It was tough. But remember, what do we do in Kenmore? We do hard things. And we incrementally grow this town to make it a better city. And here's the ribbon cutting from last August at the hangar. It was part of our hashtag Why I Love Kenmore event. So that was a wonderful day. And there's past and present council members helping cut that ribbon. Because of our efforts downtown, we got some pretty cool newspaper headlines. We were in the Seattle Times. Here's what the Seattle Times had to say about us. From drive-by suburb to a vibrant city, Kenmore is busily revitalizing itself. The Lens said, City of Kenmore downtown development sets example for future Washington municipal projects. And regarding our Brew Row activity, they said, how a business-friendly climate in Kenmore gave rise to Brew Row. So we were pretty thrilled about those headlines that we got. Last but not least on the economic development front, and this is certainly last but not least, is Lake Point. Lake Point is this peninsula right here at the mouth of the Sammamish River, right on Lake Washington, right adjacent to Cal Portland and also to Kenmore Air. This piece of property has so much potential, but it has languished as an underdeveloped industrial site for decades. Multiple developers over the years have tried and failed to get this project off the ground. Why? Because it has extraordinary costs associated with it. Number one is the soil. It's an old WashDOT landfill. WashDOT, the Washington Department of Transportation, used that as the landfill to build I-5 back in the 50s or 60s, whenever that was. Before that, it was a peat bog. So they're going to have to spend many, many millions of dollars stabilizing the soil, driving piling into the soil. And that's not to mention what they're going to have to do to mitigate traffic from when they build a project. Right now, we're working with Dean Widener, who's the investor on that property, and they control the property right now, but they don't quite own it yet. And where is the Widener team? I think I saw them. Oh, way back there. Yes. Thank you for coming. Is that Greg? Hi, Greg. Thanks for coming. So we've been working with them for a couple of years on finding what I call the sweet spot. What is the right mix of residential units, commercial space, retail space, things like that, park land, public access, all those things to create the best project that'll work financially for the developer, but won't hurt the neighbors and won't hurt traffic in the city. So that's going to be the challenge. And that is going to be super, what? Hard. It's going to be super hard, but I think it's doable. And it's, right now we're going through a financial pro forma analysis with the developer on finding that sweet spot without hurting other businesses that are nearby and without making traffic worse for the rest of us. So this is years in the making. I think best case scenario, if it all went well, they'll be breaking ground in the early 2020s, but my guess is more like the mid 2020s. So it's still a long way off, but there is progress, and we have a really enthusiastic developer named Dean Widener who is definitely spending money and time on trying to make this project happen. Walkways and waterways, that's a bond measure that the city of Kenmore residents passed in 2016. It puts new sidewalks and bike lanes on our main north-south arterial, Juanita Drive, 68th Avenue, from city limit to city limit. And right now we're in the design phase of that. This bond measure also improves 3 city waterfront parks. It puts in a real beach at Logboom Park. It connects the play area at Rhododendron Park with the river, and also improves waterfront access at Squires Landing Park. All but one of these projects are also years in the making because of permitting issues and right-of-way access issues and things like that. 2023 is when we believe most of these projects will be completed, except for one. Rhododendron Park is done. Last month, we completed Rhododendron Park. We're calling it an early win for walkways and waterways. And this new walkway through the natural open space connects the play fields with the waterfront. Also part of this project was a new dock at Rhododendron Park. Here's the before and after picture. You can see there was no dock before, and now there's a dock. So that's also been completed and already put into public use. So the environment is something that the City Council cares about deeply and has made a goal and a priority. I could spend an hour talking about what we're doing to help improve the environment and our natural spaces, but let me just talk about a couple things. One is we just completed a fish-friendly culvert on 192nd Street where Little Swamp Creek crosses near the elementary school. There were 2 problems that we solved. Number one, a flooding problem. You can see the before picture. This is the little pipe that Little Swamp Creek tried to go through. And we replaced it with a fish-friendly culvert that not only made it fish passable, but eliminated the flooding problem. And we have a number of projects that we've done like that over the years where we have eliminated flooding problems. The other focus that the City Council is now turning even more attention to is our 2 rivers. We have Swamp Creek and we have the Sammamish River in Kenmore. And this picture is where the 2 meet. It's a confluence of the 2 rivers. These 2 rivers are sick. They're not doing well. They're not doing well from a fish habitat standpoint. They're overheated. They have contaminants in them. They have too many nutrients from things like fertilizers. They have high levels of fecal coliform in them from things like pet waste. They're not doing well. And we know that Forterra has done an outstanding job of restoring other rivers. Forterra, over a decade-long process, restored the Cedar River, miles and miles of Cedar River habitat. We've asked them to now turn their attention to the Sammamish River, and they have said yes. Forterra is turning their attention to the Sammamish River, and they're working with all the jurisdictions up and down the river from Redmond all the way to Kenmore to coordinate an effort to restore habitat on there. That means removing miles of invasive plant species and replacing them with native species, and doing other things to improve the habitat of the Sammamish River. Now, this is an example of, this is the metaphor of my daughter. This isn't going to be done overnight. This is going to be increment by increment, weed by weed, over a decade plus process, and we're just at the beginning of this decade of making that happen. Now let me ask you guys a question. How do we create a sense of community in Kenmore? We could answer that question by all the slides that we just went through, but how do we even take it a step further? How do we create that sense of connection, that sense of belonging, that sense of beauty, bringing people together, art, things like that? How do we do that? And there's another question that goes with this. Wait for it. Where's the fun? Where is the fun? Now, you know me. I ask this question every state of the city, and I will always ask it. We can solve the restaurant question, but this question, where's the fun? We will never fully answer this question. We will always be asking, where's the fun? And just a few things we've done in recent years, or just this last year. In addition to our concerts at St. Edward Park, we added movies at the square just this last summer at our new town square. These have been really popular, really well attended. We've also done more to our city parks, so much so that we have achieved what they call all-star community status with the National League of Cities. That was no small chore, getting that recognition. We also like to introduce fun in our capital projects. If something as boring as a sidewalk, we like to make it exciting. And I challenge you to go to all of our new sidewalk projects and look for little love notes, little interesting things in our sidewalk projects. Here's an example of a Kenmore Colt, the new sidewalk project at Kenmore Junior High. And we also created a seat wall with the Kenmore colors and the Colt. So these are just little things we didn't have to do, but we wanted to introduce some fun and some excitement into our projects. This is a utility cabinet at Rhododendron Park. I don't know if any of you have seen that. This is also a utility cabinet that we just had done in front of City Hall, and more of those are going to be popping up over time. So, another strange picture in the State of the City address. So, I want you to go back to those metaphors. My daughter and climbing a mountain. Well, a little over a year ago, even backing up more than that, my daughter's married now, and she and her husband love the outdoors. And I'd like to maybe take a little bit of credit for that, because over the years, Michelle and I took Sarah out backpacking a lot, and we did a lot of stuff outdoors. And I think she grew to love the mountains and the outdoors quite a bit growing up. Well, a little over a year ago, she said, "Dad, Eric and I, we want to climb Mount Rainier." And I said, "Whoa." And she goes, "We want you to come with us." And that scared me, because I grew up in Pierce County, and I remember that mountain staring at me all my life, and I thought about climbing it, but it always just seemed like it was a little too much for me. But this was my daughter asking me. How could I say no? So we made that goal to climb it in mid-2017, and it was hard. We climbed a lot of mountains leading up to it. We went through a lot of training. We spent a lot of money. But we decided to go for it. And this is June 28th. We're down at Paradise, and this is what it looked like. Now think about Kenmore's goals and Kenmore's vision. Does it sometimes look like this when we're kind of enmeshed in the details and things like that? Can we always see clearly our goal? Not always. And we hiked quite a ways, and we still couldn't see our goal. We couldn't see our vision. But the more you go and the more progress you make, the more maybe you start being able to see where you're going. And if you go far enough, it comes into view. You can see your goal. You can see where you're going. And what's great about climbing a mountain is it's not all drudgery. It's not all hard. In fact, you can take moments to celebrate your success and take a breather. And so this was at base camp. This is just below Mount Rainier. We took a break, and we got to enjoy the view and see how far we'd come. And what a magnificent view it was. My daughter took this picture that night from that same location. We had a stunning view of the Milky Way and mountains in the distance. But we also knew we still had more progress to go. So remember that, and Kenmore needs to remember that. As we're making progress, we need to take time to celebrate our successes and see how far we've come, even if we haven't totally achieved our goal yet. This is above what they call disappointment cleaver, and this is where the air was getting really thin, and I was getting really sluggish. A little further beyond this, my daughter, who was the lead on our four-person rope team, my daughter turns around and she goes, and this is about, I think this was about 13,000 feet. Mount Rainier is 14,000. My daughter turns around and she goes, "Dad, I'm not my best self right now." And I said, "You know what? Neither am I." And at that point, we didn't know how much further we had to go. And that's where we're at sometimes. Remember the Sammamish River Bridge, and remember when we get under construction and things are going to be ugly? That's at 13,000 feet. That's when we're going to be saying, we're not our best selves right now. But it'll be worth it, and we do hard things. So we made it to the top, and this is at the top of Mount Rainier, and I lugged along the Kenmore City flag just to put us on the map. And you remember, oh, I'm gonna cry. Do you remember that 2-year-old that I took to Mount Rainier? Well, here she is. So, 25 years ago, she wouldn't have been able to do that, but bit by bit, increment by increment, she grew as a person to the point where she could climb Mount Rainier, and she did hard things. That's the message for Kenmore. And if I could just, in closing, number one, wish Kenmore a happy birthday, because August 31st, 2018 will be 20 years since we officially became a city. But in closing, I just want to say that over the course of my career, I have come to the conclusion that the two most important things we do as city servants are, number one, influence how people feel about their community. Number one, we influence how people feel about their community. And number two, we help create an environment where our citizens and businesses can thrive and flourish. Disneyland's motto is, "We create happiness." Do you think that could be Kenmore's motto? We create happiness? Well, I'd like to do one better than that, because Disneyland, you're there for a day. In Kenmore, we're here every day, right? We live here, we work here. Can we create happiness in Kenmore? Well, I think we can help facilitate it. We can help create an environment where our businesses and our residents can thrive and flourish. So whether it's good policing, beautiful and playful parks, walkability, bringing people together, creating an authentic sense of place, providing safe modes of transportation, proactive land use planning, or guaranteeing open democratic government, everything we do has something to do with those two purposes I just mentioned, helping people thrive and flourish and influencing how they feel about their community. And so through incremental, relentless growth, and by doing hard things, we can continue on that upward trajectory toward human flourishing right here in the city of Kenmore. Thank you.
Who doesn't want to live in Kenmore now? Rob, your passion for your family and for this city is so completely apparent. It's inspiring to us all. You inspire me. Thank you for being such a great leader in our community. Hopefully you have been equally impressed with the Chamber of Commerce today. I would encourage you, if you are not a member, to join us in our membership, and Chamber staff will be available as you leave today if you're interested in signing up. I'd like to talk to you about a couple more things while I invite our door prize folks to come up. JD, you have a door prize today, I think, and Nancy has a door prize, and I think the Chamber does as well. Just a couple more things to talk about before we get to those door prizes. And the first is the Chamber Board has voted to endorse the North Shore School District bond and levy. I know that Dr. Michelle Reed is here. She's the superintendent of the North Shore Schools. Are there other school district folks here today? Karen and Lisa and that person, Bob. Yeah. Hi, Bob. I would encourage you to talk to them about the bond and levy. Supporting the city of Kenmore, supporting our schools are crucial to the infrastructure of our communities. And the Chamber has decided that we want to support the levy and would ask that you consider that as well. Also, we want to say thanks, I get to say it one more time, to the Spencer 68 Apartments Plus Lofts and the Link Lofts Plus Flats. It's a mouthful, you guys. For sponsoring today's event. Again, we appreciate Main Street Property for everything you do for our cities. Nancy, where did you go? Oh, okay. So hopefully you've put your card in the basket. If you've got who's got the basket? Elizabeth has the basket. I see a card being waved over here. If we can get that card added to the basket. Nancy, come on up and tell us what we are giving away today.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon to the Kenmore community. Excuse the delay, I'm working with a social media person and she has required me to put this on Facebook Live. So hi Facebook, we're live. Thank you to Ryan. Today we celebrate Kenmore, the exciting growth, beauty, and health and fun, that was an awesome speech by the way, of Kenmore. At the Family Jewels 5K every year, at Kenmore's historic St. Edward State Park, we celebrate the same qualities in our youth. I'm Nancy Balin, the founder of the Family Jewels 5K and the Jameson Jones Memorial Scholarship, and member for several years of the Bothell Kenmore Chamber of Commerce and the Kenmore Business Alliance. And I invite you to help us to fulfill two promises we have made to local families. First, we award scholarships to local families who have endured the emotional and financial devastation of childhood cancer. I'm proud to tell you that we currently are helping to put 3 North Shore School District graduates through college. Second, we teach young men the signs and symptoms of testicular cancer, the #1 cancer in young men. Who knew that in here? Nobody. We didn't either. We have one person who knew. I'm glad. Testicular cancer is 95% curable. It's been cured since 1977. But it killed my young stepson, Bothell cross-country runner Jameson Jones, because he didn't know his symptoms were so deadly, and he didn't tell us about them until it was too late. I invite you to join me at the 8th annual Family Jewels 5K, testicular cancer, Family Jewels, get it? Yes. On March 10th, 8 weeks from this past Saturday, at St. Edward State Park. Your ticket buys you all the homemade pie you can eat. I make the pie. Anybody in this room had my pie? There's one. Yeah, ask Bill about my pie. You get a free tech shirt, and you get a run or a walk on a beautiful cross-country trail. Even more, know that you will be helping 3 local families afford their child's college education, and you'll be helping us to save lives. Come learn more about the Jameson Jones Memorial Scholarship and the Family Jewels 5K at the next Kenmore Business Alliance meeting on February 1st at Kenmore City Hall, where I will be the featured speaker. Thank you. And my door prize today is 2 free registrations to the Family Jewels 5K. 2 winners. And our first winner is Judy Gratton, broker and realtor. Here she comes. And our second winner is Barbara Smith, president of Harrison Smith Public Affairs. Come on up.
Yep. Yep. JD?
All right. What do I got here? I'm getting it. So in this bag here is, you're going to be able to see, you have to picture this now, because I came up to your door, and you're standing at the door, and you're ready for me to put in your fireplace, right? So I give you your hat. You put your Sundance hat on, and then inside that envelope, I gave you $500 towards that fireplace. And then I said, you know, I have to go to the next place. So as I drive away, the next time you can check it out, because I want you to put a camera in your car, so every time you drive away from your place, you can remember seeing each of you stand in front of your door with your Sundance hat on. In that bag's a camera, okay? And the winner is Phyllis Allison from Windermere.
Phyllis has been in Kenmore since 1970. Can't imagine the changes, the incremental changes. Three grandchildren in the district, voted for everything the school does because they're so awesome. Thank you, Phyllis. Shouldn't we all go back to the day of wearing stylish hats? I think we're going to have a theme luncheon one time. All right, the last thing we have is the Shamrock Shuffle, which is a chamber-sponsored wine and beer walk at Country Village. I think we're going to want to all go to this one because, as we know, Country Village will be moving on in the days and years to come. So we have 2 sets of tickets, 2 complimentary tickets each. There'll be 2 winners for this one. And John Worthy, are you here? Congratulations, John. I don't know who you're with because you wrote the name down. And Andrea Schaefer, Bothell Physical Therapy. You both win 2 tickets to the Shamrock Shuffle. Thank you. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks to our sponsors, to the Friends of the Chamber, to Inglewood for the use of the facility today, and thank you for attending. Without community support, our elected officials, our leaders, they can't be successful, whether that's through the school district, the colleges, the city. We appreciate everything you do to make Kenmore a great place to live and a fun place to live. We hope you enjoyed today, and I wish you well. Good day.